Alright, hello everyone, it's Diamond Legend here, and today I wanted to do a One Punch Man video, but it's not a what if scenario, nor is it a discussion video, but instead I wanted to do a tier list, specifically talking about the tier list when it comes to characters' personalities. So nothing like, are they strong, are they popular, nothing like that, just kind of just talking about how I can rate them as a character. You know, whether that's good or bad, but eventually we're gonna see just who is at the top of the top and who's at the lowest of the low, like I said, in terms of personality. So, without wasting any more time, let's begin with the first character. Also, I would like to mention that this is just based off from what I've seen so far, so characters can always change as the story goes on, but for the most part right now, this is what I've seen, and this is how I'm just going to rate them, just based off how I've currently been watching the anime and reading the manga. Now, the first character that we're going to introduce is going to be someone who is at the rock bottom tier. Now, his name is a Mai Mask. Now, for his character, he's pretty much someone who is obsessed with, fame and fortune, and kind of just cares about himself. On top of that, he specifically stays at the top rank of Class A so that no one else can climb the ranks to Class S. So pretty much, he's going out of his own way to stop people from growing as a hero. And we've seen as well that he mentions that he can clearly reach Class S whenever he wants to, but for the most part as of right now, he stays at Class A to push other people down and decide whether or not they deserve to be at the top rank of Class S. So, with a pretty bad personality like that, for the most part, he's gonna be at rock bottom for this video. Now, the next one on our list is going to be Atomic Samurai. Now, for this character, I thought he was pretty cool. I genuinely thought he was a pretty good character. From what we've seen in Season 1 and 2, as well as in the manga like I mentioned before, from what I've seen, he seems to be a very calm, chill, laid-back, collected kind of character, who is a teacher and is willing to help his students when things are getting serious. So we have seen in the manga that he does, step forward and says, hey, let me take care of it. So that way they can, save their energy for the better fights. And with seeing what kind of character he is, I'm going to put him at decent, because I definitely want to see more of him. From what we've saw, he is going to be like at the higher ranks tier list, definitely. But for right now, let's just put him at decent. Now for the next character, this one's going to be at the S tier level. I think that the S tier should belong to Bang. Now, from what I've seen, he seems to be someone who's willing to teach as many people as he can with his abilities and his techniques, even trying to reach out to Saitama and Genos at one point as well. And we've seen that he has a lot of people that he's willing to pass on his knowledge to. We also see that he's willing to stop Garou, who's been abusing his techniques, even going as far as to protect the other heroes that Garou knocked out. And on top of that, he is pretty chill, and is a bit disappointed with characters like Tatsumaki, for example, for just being kind of a rude character, from what we've seen. So, with his attitude, I'm gonna say that he belongs in the S tier. Now the next character, this one's going to be Bomb, who is Bang's brother. Now the reason why I put Bomb at the decent tier list is just because there's not much about him for the most part, at least from what I've seen. From what we've seen, he's willing to sacrifice everything to be there for Bang in defeating Garou. And so, that is a good deed, but for the most part, at least from what I've been reading up to, that seems like all he's really done at the moment. So until I can keep looking forward for this character, for right now, he's going to be at the decent tier list. Next on our list that's going to be at the good tier list is Boros. Now I picked Boros is just because this was a character that was similar to Saitama in terms of being bored. We see that he traveled all across the universe searching for a fight that can actually satisfy him and bring him enjoyment. And we see that he eventually became bored with just everything around him, until eventually he shows up, battles Saitama, and even though he lost, he still felt good about his fight when battling Saitama. So with a character that was a little similar to him, just a little bit, I'm gonna put Boros at the good tier list. So the next character on our list is Carnage Kabuto, who is going to be at the rock bottom tier list. The reason why I put him at that tier list is just because there's not much about him other than he's just power hungry and just wants to fight and destroy people. Also, we see that in his, his ultimate form, that he loses his mind for a whole week and just goes on just a crazy rampage. So there's not really much about him as a character. Like I said, all we know about him is that he just wants to destroy everything that exists. So with a personality like this will put him at rock bottom. Next up on the tier list is going to be Chiranko, one of Bang's students. Now the reason why I put him at decent is just because, like characters such as Atomic Samurai and Bomb, there's not much about him. All we really know for the most part, at least from what I've seen, is that Chiranko is a character that is determined and treats the dojo as well as treating Bang with respect. So someone who is respectful and determined to do whatever it takes to achieve his goal. But for the most part, that's really all we know of him as a character. Now, he would be at the good tier list since he is determined to do what it takes to be a good student at the dojo. But unfortunately, there's not much about him for the most part. Like I said, at least that's what I've been reading up to. So until we can see more of him, for right now, he'll be at the decent tier list. The next character is going to be Child Emperor, who is at the decent tier list. Now the reason why I put him at the decent tier list is just because, from what I've seen, he seems to be a character who is childlike, a bit immature, while also inventing things and supporting the S-class heroes. On top of that, we also see that he really wants to help when it comes to the situation when the monsters are kidnapping people. So he would be like around good tier list, but for right now, this is all we know about him for the most part. So until we can get some more information about the character, he'll be at the decent tier list in terms of his personality. Now the next character on the tier list is going to be the Crab Monster. Now for this part, he'll be at the rock bottom tier list, just because from what we've seen, he was a character that was pretty much just destroying people just for the fun of it. We also see that he spares Saitama just because he looks depressed and is willing to let him go just because of Saitama's current situation. So I guess that was somewhat nice, that the fact that, because he saw Saitama all bummed out and sad, he decided to let him live. But then later on, he's willing to change his mind when Saitama tries to step in and tries to protect someone that drew permanent marker on the Crab Monster, which made him upset and tried to attack the both of them. So just because with his personality, and seeing as how he didn't really last that long anyway, he'll be at the rock bottom tier list. Alright, so the next one on the list is going to be the Deep Sea King. Now, from what we've seen, he seems to be a character that was easily annoyed, very smug-like when dealing with the heroes, how he felt like he was just on top of the world and no one could even scratch him. And what we've seen, they really couldn't scratch him when they did attack him, regenerate as well. The heroes that he did fight, he put them on the brink of death. Like, everyone that he came across were just seconds away from dying. He gave Sonic, or Speed of Sound Sonic, a really good fight without a sword, and even helped Puri Puri Prisoner improve on his fighting style later on during the Boros battle. So with all of this in mind, I am going to put the Deep Sea King at the decent tier list, just because there wasn't much of him and his personality wasn't really much. There was pretty much just attack on sight, pretty much. So even though his personality isn't really there, did help the heroes improve a lot later on down the line when dealing with future enemies. So for this, we'll put him at the decent tier list. Alright, so the next character that we're going to be talking about is going to be Metal Drive. Now, for Metal Drive, there's not much about him, at least from what I've been reading currently. From what I know, as well as the seasons, he seems to be a very mysterious character, similar to Metal Knight. Also, he doesn't get enough screen time as well. which is another downside because he's a mysterious character. You probably want to expect more from him as well. I'd also like to mention that his horse-like appearance when he transforms makes him unique and stands out. He also warns Genos about Metal Knight and that he shouldn't trust him. So from what I've been looking at so far, at least at this point in time, I can't really say Metal Knight, or I can't really say Metal Drive is an amazing character since there's not much to go off, at least from what I've seen. So for right now, we'll put him at the decent. Alright, so the next one on our list is Fubuki. So from what we've seen from her in Season 2 as well as the manga, she is a very jealous character, specifically jealous of the other upper class heroes as well as her sister. We've seen that her sister is just physically superior than her, so she decides to stay at a lower rank to satisfy herself when the smaller ranks come in, so that way she can feel superior to them. We even see her kind of bully the lower classes as they work their way up, and even forces them to work under her. She's also obsessed with her ranking, that being Class B. But then later on, Saitama gives her a wake-up call about her personality, and that she's not going to get anywhere if she keeps acting like this. And so with that, she becomes an ally for Saitama and Genos. And later on throughout the manga, she's determined to make a plan to infiltrate the Monster Association with Saitama, Bang, Bomb, Genos, and King. So with her being able to redeem herself, I'm going to put her at the good tier list. Alright, so the next one on our list is going to be Garou. Now Garou portrays himself as an underdog that's going against the system. Garou carries himself as a hero hunter, which gets the attention from a few Class S heroes who make an effort to stop him. By defeating several heroes, Garou plans to complete his evolution into a true monster. By showing himself as a monster, he doesn't have an interest with joining the Monster Association either, even going as far as to kill a couple of them, and even fighting the Monster King, Orochi. We also get to see that society has wronged him ever since he was younger, so he decides to not choose good or evil. Instead, he chooses to work with himself. So with that being said, for right now, seeing Garou build himself up and seeing his past, I'm going to put him at the goated tier list. Okay, so the fifth person on the list is going to be Genos. Now, Genos is a character who lets his guard down quite often, as well as getting easily heated during situations. But from what we've seen, he does manage to get better at guarding as well as being able to relax his attitude as well. He also has a tragic backstory and wants to seek revenge on the person that wronged him. He's also witnessed Saitama's true power and makes it his mission to become just like him. Seeing what Saitama can do, he doesn't feel sure of himself, but continues to make strides throughout the series to better improve himself. Genos also has a deep respect for Saitama, even willing to intervene in battles so Saitama doesn't have to. With every battle he gets into, it's used as a stepping stone to further improve himself and upgrade his abilities. So with this, we'll put him at the tier S rank, just because I feel like there's a lot of potential with him, and he's definitely improving a lot as the series goes on. So the next one on our list is going to be Golden Ball. So from what we know, he is good friends with Spring Mustachio, who are ranked A heroes. He faced off against the Seaweed Monster, but was beaten down in the process. We then meet him again at the bar, as Garou demands a fight with a drunken Golden Ball. But to Garou's surprise, Golden ends up putting up a great fight, even catching Garou off guard for a bit. With knowing little to nothing about him, I'll put him at the rock bottom tier list, until we can know more about his character. So next up on the list is going to be Armored Gorilla. He becomes a problem for Saitama and Genos, but he quickly changes sides after his life is on the line. After his encounter with the two, we see him living a normal life, just like any other person. We also spot him working at a store, as well as even leaving behind the House of Evolution and violence in the past. With the Armored Gorilla being a cool and collected person, I'll put him in the good tier list. So the next on our list is going to be Saitama. We're introduced to him as a normal person, who loses his job interview and is bored with life around him. He does his first hero act in protecting a child from the crab monster, when keep in mind he doesn't have any abilities of his own. Instead of becoming a hero as a way to get a job, he does it for fun. His training routine is pretty simple and normal, but but he worked hard at it for 3 years straight and was truly dedicated to his training. Once becoming powerful and defeating everything in his path, he becomes bored with his new powers and even encourages the smaller heroes to work hard, and will tell the stronger heroes and monsters that being overpowered isn't what it's cracked up to be. With knowing the journey he's went through, as well as trying to help Genos reach his dream and surpassing him, Saitama will get the goated tier list. Okay, so the next one on our list is going to be Suryu. He comes off as a person who belittles the heroes and downplays the ranks by showing them his true power. He thinks the hero act is all a joke and is a character that is very much full of himself. He wins the tournament and does what he can to stop Goketsu, but to no avail. He's shocked seeing the heroes spring into action when they've already been beaten. Seeing the heroes fight with their life, as well as Suryu getting beaten down by Goketsu, it gives him a wake-up call and wants to right his wrongs during what looks to be his final moments. But Saitama hears his cry for help and saves his life. And from the look of things, it seems like he'll be a much better person after witnessing everything that happened. With knowing this much about him, we'll put him at the S tier. Okay, so the next one on the list is going to be Moomin Rider. Now, he doesn't have any special abilities, but he makes an effort to stop the villains who are beyond him. He was able to climb the ranks into being a top hero in Class C. Also, he doesn't have the power of a hero, but he does have the heart and determination of one. Moomin Rider takes a serious beating, but always gets back up again to face any threat. Moomin is aware that he's not superhuman, but he doesn't care if he loses. Knowing he stood up to the villains is enough for him. With this, he'll be at the goated tier list. Now another character is going to be Tatsumaki. She's a character who's full of herself and belittles every hero around her, even the Class S heroes in her own group. She finds it useless that the group are even lifting a finger, since she knows she can handle the threats in second. Much like other characters, she does belittle the lower ranks, even saying that Saitama shouldn't have showed up to the meetup. She made her sister insecure and weak, which caused Fubuki to worry about her reputation as the years continued. Knowing this about her personality will put her at the rock bottom tier list. Now the next one is going to be Metal Bat. He's a character that's tough and is serious about his role as a hero. He helped the heroes deal with Boros' minions. He makes sure to protect his sister, and when he faced off against Garou, he gave him an incredible fight. So much so that Garou had mentioned that if he was able to land a blow, he probably would have been done for. Also, Metal Bat's fighting spirit is what makes him a great character for me. So we'll put him in the good tier list just based on his personality, since he's pretty much just a dude with a bat. But if we're going by my personal favorite characters, regardless of personality, Metal Bat is definitely on the goated tier list for me. Now the last, but certainly not the least, is going to be King. He's a normal guy who wants to live a quiet life, but monsters continue to find him, since he's on the top rank as a hero. He didn't choose to have this role. He would show up to different locations where monsters would arrive, but they would be beaten by Saitama, so people would assume that King was responsible for it. He's also a person who likes to share his interests with Saitama in playing games. King is also a good person, but his appearance and his King's engine is what drive people away. King is one of the luckiest characters in the series thus far, and hasn't had any slip-ups with his luck. If you want to include his pure luck as an ability, that may well be true. But knowing what kind of person he is and how he just wants to live a regular life, he'll be going in the good tier list, until I can keep reading the manga to learn more about him. And that was everyone that I wanted to include in this video. So hopefully you did like it. It's very different from any discussions, what if scenarios, and it's not Dragon Ball related either, nor is it a collaboration video. Just something I just wanted to kind of just make as a little side project, and finally I got it done. So hopefully you guys do enjoy it. Feel free to like, feel free to leave a comment, feel free to subscribe. You can tell me who your favorite character is, and we can probably talk about it as well. And hopefully another video will be coming out soon. Don't know how soon, but hopefully somewhere in the future. Fortunately, I can't really give out a specific date on when to expect videos, but hopefully this one does do well and is received well. And with that being said, this has been Diamond Legend, and I'm off.